We'll be keeping an eye on that and an eye on everything La Liga as we continue throughout the season and into the transfer window as well in January. One of those teams that might be looking to make some moves and is certainly playing catch-up on the big boys in La Liga is Real Sociedad, managed by, of course, Englishman David Moyes. And on the line joining us here in studio is Mr. Chris Winterburn to once again give us his Moyes watch, so to speak. Almost like a stalker, Chris, I'd say. You need to be careful with this Moyes watch thing. People might start asking questions about you.
Well, I'm a fan, what can I say?
Now, I've got to ask, because I think we all know that you're a bit of a Red Devils fan here in the UK. Do you take any enjoyment at all about seeing Moyes suffering his first defeat, and a hefty one at that, at the hands of Villarreal last week, 4-0?
No, not at all. I think the majority of Manchester United fans really want David Moyes to do well. There was just a case last season of he didn't really fit Old Trafford, and the fans maybe didn't want him at the club, but they certainly want him to do well now he's away from the club.
Yeah, we want him to do well now he's away and now he's not our problem. We suddenly wish him all the best, but in perhaps when they're having a chat with him in a bar, they're maybe not using the friendliest of words, and probably words that La Liga officials might not be too pleased with either, from the sounds of it, as the news continues about that. In general, though, for Moyes, I mean, it's been a solid start. A lot of people have been happy with it. This is going to have him blushing slightly, though, such a comprehensive defeat, 4-0.
Yes, it really was quite a difficult evening for him. As you said, they had an excellent start, 3 clean sheets, and then on Sunday evening they really were taken to the cleaners in the last half an hour by Villarreal. But up until that point, Sociedad really matched the host, and it was a very good performance, but I think the fitness training maybe got to the players, and the house just sort of blew over in those last half an hour.
I believe Jason wants to have a quick word with you as well, Chris.
Yeah, hi Chris. I've got a quick question for you. It's been rumoured that Adnan Januzaj may be on the way to Sociedad in January as a loan move for the rest of the season. Just interested in your thoughts on the move from a Manchester United perspective, but also, do you think he's the right sort of player? I mean, I think he's still 18. You know, there's going to be a lot of pressure on him if he goes there, given their sort of precarious league position. And just really, what are your thoughts how he might blend in and what he might bring to the Sociedad team?
Well, I think for all parties involved, it would probably be an excellent move. Adnan Januzaj struggled to really get into Louis van Gaal's first team this season. There was questions about the young man's attitude early on in the season, and it seems as if Louis van Gaal isn't really willing to give him that long chance David Moyes did last year. And it's interesting that Sociedad are linked, because at the weekend we saw Sergio Canales used in a wide left area, and it really didn't suit him. He just didn't have the physical attributes to play that role, and Adnan Januzaj really would. David Moyes knows him well, and I think that really would be a good move for all concerned, particularly with Manchester United having an interest in Memphis Depay for the summer. I think that could be certainly one to watch in January, this loan.
Hi Chris, it's Rebecca. Welcome back. I've got a question, just going back to that 4-0 defeat. How mentally damaging do you think that will be for not only David Moyes but also the team as well?
Well, it was almost a sense of the honeymoon period being well and truly over with that defeat. The players still remain very confident with David Moyes' methods. As we know, Inigo Martinez spoke of the high intensity with which the players are training and how he's really improving the group. I think there is still confidence that things will work out for the group and David Moyes, but that result really was damaging. But heading into this weekend's Basque derby with Athletic Club, there really is a need to get a good result in that game, so there isn't a downward spiral of results like we saw at Old Trafford last year.
Hi Chris, it's Paul. You touched upon the Basque derby there. Moyes won 4 out of 25 in the Merseyside derby. He also lost both Manchester derbies by 3 goals. What chances do you give him of getting a result against Athletic?
Well, it's interesting you bring up David Moyes' record in derbies, particularly with United. If you look at the 2 main derbies, Manchester City and Liverpool, he lost all 4 of those matches last season. So I think it will be difficult for him, and there is a lot of quality in the Athletic Club squad, but also they've got the home field advantage at Anoeta. They've got good defensive, aside from the Villarreal game, they've looked solid defensively, so I think playing on the counter-attack, whilst may not be the best in the long term for exciting attacking football, I think it may be a necessity this weekend. But I think there's every chance he could come away with a result with Carlos Vela in such wonderful form.
Were you surprised at how many changes he made to the team?
Well, in fairness, he came into the side with a few injuries. Inigo Martinez was out, and I think he's maybe looked to put his own stamp on things, and I would expect more changes, to be honest. It's no surprise that he's made the change. He does like to put his own stamp on things, but rather we didn't see that at Old Trafford last year.
I mean, Chris, he has said, he came out after this defeat and said his side needs more quality. He's not going to have much of a budget, though, at Sociedad, so he's going to have to do, dare I say it, and Harry Redknapp wouldn't like me saying this, but a bit of wheeler dealing, so to speak, won't he?
Absolutely, and I think that's why we're talking about loan moves for Adnan Januzaj, and also there's been talk of a move for Charlie Adam at Stoke, and that obviously wouldn't be the most expensive transfer, but it still would be, for Sociedad's budget, rather significant. But he certainly will have to look at bargain players, as it were, I think, for the short term anyway.
And Chris, on the flip side to that, Sociedad are a bit of a selling club. You mentioned that Carlos Vela is in a rich vein of form. How does Moyes combat that problem? How does he keep hold of people like Vela?
Well, I think the Carlos Vela situation is rather unique because he really could have left last summer. I know Arsenal had the opportunity to buy him back for a relatively low price, and they then sold that clause back to Sociedad, so they could have had him. There isn't really a great deal of interest in him at this point, I must say, but clubs will be noticing his performances, his age, and really interest could be increased later on in the season. But at the moment, I don't think there's anyone really on the cusp of leaving Sociedad. I think that's certainly a problem for the summer and maybe a period beyond that.
And Chris, how do you assess his first month in charge of the club?
Well, he's in a way, he's steadied the ship. He had an awful start to the season, and he's come in and had 3 clean sheets out of 4 matches. I think the loss to Villarreal and just the significance of it with the 4-0 scoreline really was a wake-up call for everyone involved. But still, there's a lot of positives there, and I think if you look back at the first month as a whole, I think he's done relatively well with what he's had to come in and work with.
Chris, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll speak to you again next week.
No problem. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.